Yeah. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and cats and dogs. Shout out to cats and dogs. To another episode 15 of the Skye and Skye podcast. I am your co-host, Skye O'Reilly, joined by the always lovely Skye McMillan. Skye, how are you doing?
I am doing good. I'm very excited for this episode.
I'm very, very excited for this episode. But before we get into it, there's a big game that happened last night.
Yeah.
Chiefs beat the 49ers. I was about to say Broncos for whatever reason. Chiefs beat the 49ers 25-22, I think was the final score. Crazy game.
Crazy.
Overtime. Patrick Mahomes. 400 yards of total offense, I think. It was right at 399 by himself. The defense pulled it out. Brock Purdy, about 300 yards of total offense, almost for himself. Just a crazy game, Skye. How did you feel when you were watching the game?
I was on edge. I wanted the 49ers to win, and so it was sad to see that they lost. And I thought if they would have made that field goal after they scored a touchdown, I think we would have won. It would have been 21-20.
Yeah, that PAT.
Yeah.
So what's crazy is I'm sitting here and my little brother, he's rooting for the 49ers.
As he should.
And all playoffs, Jake Moody hasn't been, consistent. And there have been talks about their head coach, Kyle Shanahan, talking about, I just hope that he makes it. So, it was really crazy that he made a 55-yard field goal to start the game.
True.
But
that was crazy.
Right after they scored that touchdown, and they're lining up, my little brother's like, oh, yeah, you can book it. And I turned and I looked at him and I said, do you want me to look at you or do you want me to look at the screen? And he was like, no, go ahead and look at the screen. I said, all right. And sure enough, he missed it. And I think you're right, Skye. That was a real game-changing
It was.
moment.
It could have changed the game if they would have made that field goal. I really do think so, but it's okay, I guess. Yeah. Whatever happens. And the Chiefs, It was cool that they were able to be back-to-back champions because that was done, I think, in 2003 and 2004 with Tom Brady. So it was cool that we were able to witness that again.
Now, I'll tell you what's even cooler. What's so dope is that I saw this morning the last team to win a Super Bowl after back-to-back champions. You know what team that was?
No.
That was the Pittsburgh Steelers. So that's telling me that next year, you better book it in Vegas, baby. Next year, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win the Super Bowl 2025. And I think they're coming to Los Angeles because the Super Bowl is being played in Los Angeles either next year or no, this might be New Orleans. It's either New Orleans or Los Angeles. I have to look it up.
Okay.
But I know the Super Bowl is coming back to Los Angeles. But if it's the next year, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'll buy my ticket right now.
Okay. I just want anybody but the Chiefs next year. That's all I'm hoping for. I know I'm a big Bears fan. I don't have a lot of faith in them to make it to the Super Bowl next year.
Yeah.
It would be super cool to see, but anybody but the Chiefs next year.
I'll look for Peter Schrager. He does NFL Network, Good Morning Football, and he's correctly guessed the Super Bowl winner the past, now 6 seasons.
I saw that
the first week, first week of the NFL season. So
I saw that.
I'll look forward to his take. It better say Pittsburgh over whoever.
Yeah.
Come August.
I guess we'll see with this upcoming draft coming up too. I'm excited to see who these teams pick.
Caleb Williams.
No. We want Marvin.
Whoa.
You
want Marvin Harrison?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we need
weapons.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think Justin Fields is such a great QB, but he doesn't have like the players being able to do those things for him. Like, he's a great QB. So
no, he is.
I don't think we need Caleb Williams. Somebody else can take him.
Okay,
that's my.
You have it here.
That's my pick.
A Bears fan saying no, Caleb. We need Marvin Harrison.
Yes.
Okay, so that means he's going to go to the Washington Commanders probably with Cliff Kingsbury now being the OC.
Yeah.
Or the quarterback coach at least. Okay. So I see that. Yeah. I can see that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the episode. He is a Mountain West Scholar Athlete 2022, all academic team as well. From February 24th to May 6th of last year, he reached base at least once in 18 straight games. Former high school champion twice in North Carolina, a player who's been making waves on the field and capturing the hearts of fans with his incredible talent and determination, Kyle Smith of our New Mexico Lobos baseball team.
All right, so starting off with our icebreaker question. If you could go on vacation anywhere, where would it be and why?
So when it comes to vacation, it wasn't something we did a lot when I was growing up, so it leaves a lot of places open. I think right now I'd have to say Switzerland. I want to get into skiing, but I also really love mountains. So I think going somewhere like that would, for the first time, would be really cool.
That's a cool one. Skye, what about you?
I would probably tend to go with Costa Rica. I'm type of a beach and coral reef guy, so I would go with Costa Rica, but I could see Switzerland being up there as well.
Definitely.
What about you, Skye?
I would say Brazil. I keep on seeing so much about it right now, and it just looks so beautiful. Or Turks and Caicos would also be another one.
Turks and Caicos, that's underrated.
Yeah.
But the Rio?
Yep.
A lot of islands.
And a lot of islands.
Yes.
We're talking to a two-timer, which means he has back-to-back state high school championships at New Hanover High School. I remember when my high school team was playing in the state championship game back in 2019. We actually played in Dodger Stadium. Wow. We lost to a school named Birmingham, and Birmingham's pretty much good in everything around here. But what do you remember about that time, and which championship felt better, the first or the second one?
There's a lot to go back on. So believe it or not, actually my sophomore year, we made it to the state championship as well.
Wow.
We ended up losing and then went on to win back-to-back my junior and senior year. I think the coolest thing is traveling to different stadiums. So we got to play at NC State my sophomore year, and then 2 different minor league fields throughout those other, 2 years. I think the biggest memory is winning that second one. After making it to one and losing, winning it that next year is, extremely hard. But I think making it to a third one and winning a second one, I think was that much harder. So I think that's got to be the coolest thing was, making it to 3 and winning 2.
Yeah, not a lot of people can say that they've done that before. So that's really cool that you get to say that you've done that.
Yeah.
You went to a different college your freshman year and then transferred to UNM right after that. What was that change like for you, especially being so young?
It was huge. Going to the University of North Carolina, was a dream come true for me at high school. And then that was during the COVID season. So, a lot of us had to deal with that. And then, I wanted to take a chance and, I went to a junior college that next year and then found my way out here. I think the biggest thing was being so far away from home for the first time. I tell a lot of people I drive out here all the time and, their question like, how long is that? And it's 30 hours.
Oh my gosh. 30 hours?
Yeah. So it's a big change. Wow. Being 2 hours behind, my family is also a big change. And then, playing on the West Coast, we go back another hour. So being 3 hours behind is definitely tough. But it was, being young and, just wanting to bet on myself was the biggest part. Yeah. I wanted to come somewhere where I felt like I was at home. And, I found that here for 3 years.
Yeah. I think it's so important, especially like when you're in college, to kind of go somewhere far so you're able to kind of like feel what it's like to do things on your own rather than being able to like go back to your family whenever you want to, I guess, or like drive back. So I think that's really cool. That's really cool.
Definitely not driving home on the weekends.
No.
But yeah, like you said, it allowed me to help, find myself and find out who I was away from baseball.
Yes.
But also, who I was as a baseball player as well. So
that's really cool.
No, that's crazy. My girlfriend goes to North Carolina A&T. So,
okay, yeah.
So she's up there. Shout out to Zaya. She's been waiting to get a shout out on one of these episodes for quite some time. Thanks, Chase. But no, so I'm like 30 hours. That's a crazy. So I'll only be flying.
Yes.
For that part. But that's just absolutely insane. How did you know that UNM was the right place for you, though? And what makes Lobos baseball so special to be a part of?
I think it definitely took some time. It was definitely kind of a last minute thing for me coming here. So I was a little, uneasy at first. I think as most people would be. But, the second I got here and, got accommodated and started meeting the right people and, I really felt like I was supposed to be here all along. So I think it definitely took some time. But as things got going, it felt like it was so comfortable and so normal. And I think that's when I really fell in love. And, 3 years later, I'm still here. Mm-hmm. So.
What is the culture like for baseball? Are you guys like a close team? What What makes you guys so successful?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a challenge when there's 40 guys, right? You know, it's really hard to, truly get to know everybody, so it's a little bit easier for sports that have less teammates. But as a culture, I think, we do our best to really get to know everybody, right? So I always challenge myself to try to get to know the new guys, right? I don't want them to be uncomfortable. And especially as a fifth-year guy, it's, I want you to feel welcome and, get to know us for who we are. So trying to share everything with that, it makes us really close.
Yeah. Well, and you said you're a fifth-year senior. So, what role do you play on your team right now?
I guess you could say an educator. Okay. I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but I definitely try to share the things that I was taught when I was in their shoes. So, when I first got here as a junior, I looked up to those guys who were fourth and fifth years. And, now that I'm in that spot, I try to do the same thing they did for me and, share everything that I know, right? So if this is, my last year playing, I want to be able to share everything that I've learned and set them up for success in the future.
That's awesome. I think that's so important.
Yeah. Are you a gum or a sunflower seed type of dude?
So playing on turf kind of ruins that for both. If I really had to pick, if we're playing on dirt, I'm picking sunflower seeds all day. Strictly because ranch.
Wow.
Ranch or dill pickle. I know they're kind of out there. It's an acquired taste.
It is. Those are two different tastes right there.
Definitely acquired.
So sometimes they get mixed together, right? So we try a lot of different things. There's tons of flavors out there. But if I really had to pick, I'm going sunflower seeds.
Is your team more of a sunflower seed type of team?
We might be pretty 50-50. Some guys like to chew gum. Some guys like to spit seeds, but I think the whole part about spitting seeds is being able to spit it out onto the field. Well, we can't do that here, so we spit into a cup. So it's 50-50.
Different positions, like different things, would you say?
Yeah, I would say so. So if I'm playing that day, I like to chew gum. I think it helps, just kind of keep me focused. If I'm not playing, I'll go seeds.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Interesting.
I think baseball has the longest regular season of any sport by far. When you're playing the same teams multiple times over, like 3 to 4 times in a row, or sometimes even twice in the same day, depending on the different circumstances with weather and, postponement and things like that. How do you focus on the game? How much difference is there between playing an opponent from one day to the next over and over and over again?
Yeah, I think the biggest difference when we're playing a weekend series is you learn about the team, right? So what are their tendencies? What is each player? How are they, right? So, 1 through 9, what does this player on their team tend to do? What's his role? Versus just playing a team once, right? Playing a team once, it's like, okay, we're going to give it all we got and we're going to go our best 9 versus your best 9 and see what happens. And that's the same on the weekend, but I think the weekend involves a lot more strategy. It gives our coaches a chance to learn how their players are, how they react to certain things. And, we try to use that to our advantage. So
what was the longest game you've played in? And how do you prepare, especially since your season goes into summer? So I know it's super hot out there.
Yeah. So actually, from what I can recall, our longest game was my first year here in Reno, Nevada. And I want to say it was about 4 hours and 45 minutes. So that was before the pitch clock rules that have now been implemented to shorten our games. But that game was on I want to say Friday night. It was about 35 degrees, about 30-mile-an-hour winds. And it was a rough night.
Yeah.
So that's definitely the longest game that I've ever been a part of.
Did you guys end up winning?
I think so.
Okay.
I think everybody just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
So
understandable.
It was tough.
I would sit there. I'm one of those guys. I don't like to leave any chance for me to miss a big moment. So I'm one of those people that sit there until the buzzer sounds. There's no more game. Skye, do you think that you would have lasted through 4 hours and 45 minutes?
Oh no, I don't like the cold.
Yeah.
Maybe a nice spring training game in Phoenix. I would have stayed.
I think most players would say that they're glad that they're shortening our games just a little bit, right? Baseball is meant to take a little bit longer. I think the biggest concern for everybody is it's such a slow game.
Yeah.
But I think now that, with this pitch clock and they're trying to speed things up for your guys' sake.
Yeah. So you can keep people there to keep
exactly.
Yep. Yeah. Got it. Who is your favorite baseball team or player to watch?
So my favorite player growing up was Buster Posey. He caught for the San Francisco Giants. Just a phenomenal catcher. You know, one of the best college catchers in the early 2000s and arguably one of the best catchers in Major League history. I mean, it was just being a catcher. It was, you know, he's the best and I want to be like him. As far as favorite team, I'm a big Red Sox fan. So my dad grew up in Massachusetts and growing up, you know, of course I want to be like my dad. So I was like, I'm going to be a Red Sox fan. So I still follow him to this day. So
that's cool. It's really cool.
Big Papi. If you were the GM of your own baseball team, you know, I'm talking all-time greats. Who's your starting 9?
Ooh, all-time? Well, I got to put Buster Posey back there. Obviously, his favorite player.
Okay.
Here's where it gets tricky. Shortstop, you got to go Derek Jeter.
Okay.
Outfield, right? I mean, there's so many new guys that are so good. It's so hard to mix. I got to put Mike Trout in center field. Probably Aaron Judge. And then I think after the season that Ronald Acuna Jr. just had, that would complete the outfield. Third base, I'm a big Arenado fan, so Nolan Arenado. Second and first gets tricky. First base, I don't know. I didn't grow up watching many first basemen or second basemen, truly. I don't know. This would be tough. If David Ortiz could play a position, I'd put him at first. If not, probably Prince Fielder. I think his time was cut a little short. Second base is tough. That was the one position I never played, so I don't really pay attention to second base. Mookie, here you go. Mookie Betts is playing second base for the Dodgers, I believe. So
there you go.
We'll throw him in there.
I was just waiting for one Dodger. I was about to give you a hard time if you didn't give me one Dodger.
He's going to be their second baseman this year with all the talent they just got. So we'll throw him at second base.
Okay. And your pitcher?
Ooh, pitcher. I feel like I got to go Randy Johnson.
Okay.
Big lefty, yeah.
That's it. I'll give you A+. I give you A+.
It's tough.
Because you threw him the Dodger. You had a couple Yankees, obviously. Buster behind. I give you A+.
If I had a little bit more time, there could be some more greats in there. But we'll stick with the new school guys for now.
Yeah. Who do you have winning the World Series this year? Because don't say the Red Sox.
No.
We both know.
See, I think you're gonna like this. I would be extremely shocked if the Dodgers don't win this year.
That's what I'm
so
about,
with the pitching that they just got, and obviously the signing of Shohei Ohtani, I think they're a lock to almost win the World Series this year. So
that makes my heart so full. Makes my heart so full. You just talked about Shohei. We've never seen a player dominate both sides of the plate like that ever. How hard do you think it is for a guy to both be a pitcher and a hitter and then do it in an extreme professional manner like he is?
I don't know if it's ever going to be seen again. I think hitting a baseball, especially the major league level, is arguably the hardest thing to do, you know, in all of sports. Obviously, that's a little bit of a biased answer. But I mean, to see him hit the way that he does, you know, for power, for average, and, you know, driving all these runs and then turn around and, you know, pitch 6, 7, 8, 9 innings, you know, it's unheard of. I mean, his statistics are unmatched. And I mean, I don't know when the next time that's ever going to happen. And then on top of that, getting paid $60 million or whatever I think he's getting is just also unheard of.
I saw that they're actually pushing that date back, that they're actually going to start paying so that they can still sign other big free agents and stuff like that. Is just
and how smart is that as a GM, right? I mean, deferring his payments to be able to sign other, you know, big leaguers of that caliber is an extremely smart move, and it's a smart move for him. You know, he'll play for the next 10 years, and after that, he's got a lot of money coming his way. So
yeah. It's crazy.
If I were to redo it again, I want to be a baseball player because you guys get paid so dang much money, you know. And obviously, you're playing more games. Your season's 62 games, I think.
Correct. Yeah.
So, but how do you feel about all the athletes wanting to be baseball players just strictly for the difference in pay?
Yeah, I think it speaks a volume. And take it one step further, be a pitcher. Pitchers get paid a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you pitch once every 5 days and, you know, you can make a lot of money doing it. But it says a lot about, you know, how many people like to watch baseball, right? Where does all that money come from? And it's, you know, all the people who want to watch these players such as, you know, Shohei Ohtani, right? Like these are once in a lifetime players. People want to watch them. You know, so the amount of money that it brings in is what allows them to be paid that much. And like what you said earlier, the exceptional level that he plays at. I mean, he deserves every penny of that. So I think it's absolutely nuts to see a contract like that. But at the end of the day, the amount of work that these guys put in and their performance, they really deserve it.
Yeah, my son's going to be a baseball player. And if I'm in North Carolina, I'm bringing him to your house, and you're going to teach him.
Hopefully he's left-handed.
Yes. Yeah, well.
Left-handed pitchers make a lot of money.
We're going to make him left-handed. I'm just playing, but I'm really not.
What is your major now, and what are your plans for after this season?
So when I first got into college, I wanted to focus on, sports broadcasting. And so that led me down the journalism and, communications path. And as time kind of went on, I was like, there's a lot of other things out there in life. So I actually just completed my real estate license course for North Carolina and passed that test on Friday.
Awesome.
So now I'll be working on taking the state and the national exam, coming up in these next few weeks. So I'm hoping to be a fully licensed real estate agent by the time I graduate.
Wow. That's pretty cool. That's a really big accomplishment. Yeah,
it was not easy. It's a lot of law and it's a lot of time. There's a lot of time put into that course. So, it was a small win and, still learning how to celebrate those. But it was definitely a nice accomplishment. So
that's awesome.
That's dope. But I want to ask you, are you good at golf? Because baseball players are extremely ridiculous athletes, and whenever they get into a tee or whatever, like Mike Trout, Mookie, Bryce Harper, I've seen Instagram videos where they're hitting absolute dingers like into the sky. Like, are you good at golf?
So we were talking about that actually before we started. So that is, it's a work in progress. I'm definitely trying to get there. I haven't broken 100 yet. So that's the goal, here soon. I think for every, amateur golfer, it's, when you start breaking 100, it's like, okay, like, we're getting there. Now, can I hit a golf ball far? Yes. I mean, that is something I can. So if we're playing a scramble, that's kind of my job is to, set us up with a good drive. From there on out, it gets tough. So that's kind of what we're working on. But the goal is to essentially be a good golfer one day.
Okay.
No shame in the game.
I know you want to go pro after college. Where would be the ideal place that you would want to get drafted to?
So believe it or not, it's not the Red Sox. I think that would be cool, but I would say probably Atlanta, just because it's so close to home. And so I think that's, that would be a really cool spot. My roommate from last year that played here was actually drafted by the Braves. So I'm hoping to see him down the road one day and that stadium. But I think that's a really cool spot. Being from the East Coast in North Carolina, they have minor league teams, but there's no professional teams. So Atlanta being, one of the closest teams, I think would be a really cool spot to go.
How cool is it for you to see like your teammates go to that next level?
It's awesome. I mean, that's all of our goal. That's at the end of the day. But seeing somebody be able to take that step is extremely cool. So, nothing but the best. I hope that's, coming up for him. And I'm sure it's going to be a long journey, but, I hope it ends up, going his way, and it'll be really cool to see him at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I know we've all had teammates turn professional, and I just think that when you see it happen to somebody else, it's a little bit different, but when you see it happen to somebody that you know and that you've seen put in the work, like it makes you fall in love with the process over and over and over again, because you actually see the good side of the outcome where, it's hard to get into professional sports, especially here in America, because you have to be like the top of the top of all the standouts, all the recruits, all of the athletes. So, I mean, Skye, you could talk about it too.
Yeah, you guys have had it happen.
Yeah, Jaden Edwards was really cool to see her get drafted. Trinity Rodman was also another one of my former teammates at Washington State. And then Morgan Weaver, they were both first round, second picks in the NWSL draft. So seeing teammates going into the draft and like playing and just seeing them achieve their goals and stuff, it's really cool to see.
Yeah, I think
really cool.
Back to what you said, Skye, it reminds you that it's possible.
Yeah,
I think that's
definitely
the biggest thing, right? There's always going to be somebody who has more talent and, has things that these scouts are looking for. But, it's a special feeling all in all to see somebody else succeed, but to remind yourself that it's still possible.
Definitely.
So
definitely.
I got to ask you, Kyle, two great baseball players, Pete Rose and Barry Bonds, One has the most hits of all time, the other the most homers, and they're both not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. For those of you that don't know, Pete was found guilty of betting, on Reds games and games that he's played and managed. And Bonds, he had a big fight with, performing enhancing drugs. How do you feel about having two of the greatest players to ever play not be in Cooperstown? And does it, like, as a baseball player, does it kind of mess with your psyche a little bit, where it's like these guys were so darn good, but they're still not in? And does it make it that much of an exclusive club?
Yeah, I mean, that's a conversation that, for as long as I can remember playing baseball, has been going on. Pete Rose bet as a manager. He wasn't actually a player, I don't believe. And he was betting on his team to win. Once again, there's a lot of rules that go into it, but I don't think that somebody that of that caliber that played that well, should be left out. I know there's always consequences for your actions, but when you're that good, you deserve to have that type of recognition. And Barry Bonds, it's the same thing. I think back when he played, PEDs were legal, and I don't think he ever tried to hide it. And I could be wrong about that. No, it's been a while, but two guys of that caliber, they deserve to have that recognition. They hold insane stats in the game of baseball, and some that, could never be broken. I think two guys of like that definitely deserve to have that recognition and be in the Hall of Fame.
So I know your season is about to start. Is that correct? Or is it?
Yep, 5 days.
5 days. Who is your first matchup against?
So we will be playing Oregon State for the third time. Since I've been here, we always open with them in a tournament out in Surprise, Arizona. We've had some success against them. So I think a lot of us are ready to get rolling.
Oh, yeah. I like to hear it. And it's in Arizona, so
it's going to be a lot warmer than it's been here.
Yeah, definitely.
Skye in this Arizona, man. But you know what? I can't blame you, because I do the same thing with Cali.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
Kyle, man, you guys went on a little bit of a run last year in season. What are some things that you look forward to for this year? It possibly being your last year. What are some things that you just hope happen and you want to experience and make sure you experience if this is your last go at it?
The biggest goal would be the conference tournament. The last couple of years, especially last year, we were right on the edge, and we just couldn't get it done. So I think going into this, season for the third time, and the group of guys that we have, I think we're the most well-rounded team that we have since I've been here, which speaks a lot to what our coaches are doing. But I think the goal is a conference tournament, right? We want to play in a regional, and for us being from a smaller conference, we have to win our conference tournament. And it's not easy. We have to place top 4 in our conference out of 7 teams, and then it's fair game from there again. So, it's really hard to beat a team or play 3 to 4 games in a very short manner to go to a regional. But that's our goal.
Well, we wish you the best of luck this season, and I hope you go out with a bang for your last and final year. And thank you so much for joining us on this podcast.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having me. Thank you.
Kylie, you're great. You know what? I want to tell a quick story, because the first time our listeners don't know this, but we all had a class together last spring with our professor, Michael Marcotte, in audio journalism. But the first time I met Kyle, we actually lived in the same building at Lobo V. And I didn't know it. He didn't know it. And all the time we would be leaving class and I come back to Lobo V and I see this dude, and he, like, every time I go to class, I see the same dude. So I'm like, who's this dude that's following me? Like, I really thought you were following me. But then it turned out, I was like, oh, snap, that's actually Kyle. He lives above me. Like,
it took a while too, I would say, because we had the same class for a couple of weeks, I think, before I actually realized it too.
Yeah.
So it was, I was like, that kid looks familiar. I was like, don't I know him? And it took me a while, and then I was like, oh, I do know him. So yeah.
Yeah. See, like, this is a small world. But Kyle, I appreciate you, man, coming on. You're a great dude, great talker, and you have just invaluable experience with the sport of baseball. And I appreciate you, and much success to you and your team as you guys start the season in the next couple of days, man. And I wish you well.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
That was Kyle Smith of our New Mexico Lobos baseball team. I can't even wait for the season to start for baseball. What about you, Skye?
I can't wait. I will be at a couple of games when it gets warmer outside.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know what? I'll be there in spirit. I'll be there in spirit. But no, come April, start of April, I'll be back. And I'll definitely have to see Kyle Smith and the rest of our New Mexico baseball team take on the world and the conference and ultimately be conference champions.
Oh, yeah.
That was episode 15 of the Skye and Skye podcast. We appreciate you guys coming and listening. Tune in again next week as we have another exciting guest. And we can't wait to see you then. Go Lobos.
Go Lobos.
Lobos.